What if I told you there's a type of investment income that the government doesn't tax? It sounds too good to be true, but tax-exempt interest is real and you might already be earning it without even knowing it. Today I'm explaining everything you need to know about tax-exempt interest income and why it still shows up on your tax return. What is tax-exempt interest? Tax-exempt interest is exactly what it sounds like: interest income that the federal government doesn't tax. This typically comes from bonds issued by state and local governments, certain federal savings bonds, and other specific types of investments. Think of it as the government's way of encouraging people to invest in public projects like schools, roads, and infrastructure. Where does tax-exempt interest come from? Municipal bonds, the big one. The most common source is municipal bonds. These are bonds issued by state and local governments to fund public projects. When you buy a municipal bond, you're essentially lending money to your state or city, and they pay you interest that's free from federal taxes. Some municipal bonds are even exempt from state taxes if you live in the state that issued them. U.S. savings bonds, the education exception. Here's something cool about Series E and Series I savings bonds: the interest can be completely tax-free if you use the money for qualified educational expenses. This only works for bonds issued after 1989, and there are income limits, but it's a great way to save for college expenses tax-free. Other federal obligations. Certain other federal obligations can also generate tax-exempt interest, though these are less common for individual investors. How to report tax-exempt interest. Now here's the part that confuses people: even though this interest isn't taxable, you still have to tell the IRS about it. You'll report tax-exempt interest on line 2A of your Form 1040. Don't worry, it won't increase your tax bill, but the IRS wants to know about it. Finding your tax-exempt interest. If you earn tax-exempt interest, you should receive Form 1099 INT from whoever paid you the interest. Look for Box 8, that's where your tax-exempt interest will be listed. Just copy that number straight to line 2A on your Form 1040. What about Schedule B? If you have more than $1,500 in total taxable interest in dividends, you'll need to fill out Schedule B. But here's the key: tax-exempt interest doesn't go on Schedule B because it's not taxable interest. It only goes on the main Form 1040. Why report non-taxable income? You might wonder why the IRS wants to know about income they're not going to tax. There are a few reasons. First, it helps them verify that you're not accidentally leaving taxable interest off your return. Second, some tax calculations and benefits are based on your total income, including tax-exempt interest. And third, it helps with certain tax planning strategies. Important things to remember. Backup withholding. Make sure you give the correct Social Security number to anyone paying you interest. If you don't, they might withhold taxes from your payments as backup withholding, even on tax-exempt interest. State taxes may differ. While this interest is exempt from federal taxes, your state might have different rules. Some states tax municipal bond interest from other states, so check your state's tax rules. Educational savings bonds. If you're using savings bond interest for education expenses, there are specific rules and income limits that apply. You'll want to keep detailed records of your educational expenses and make sure you qualify for the exclusion. Tax-exempt bonds typically pay lower rates than taxable bonds. Calculate if the tax savings justify the lower interest based on your tax bracket. Tax-exempt interest rules can be complex. This is educational content only. Consult a qualified tax professional for your specific situation.